Biggest revelation when it comes to Operation Sindoor has been made by the Indian Air Force Chief, Air Chief Marshal Amarpreet Singh. Addressing reporters ahead of the Air Force Day, the chief said that India had downed at least 4 to 5 F-16s of the Pakistan Air Force during the Operation Sindoor. All of these were F-16s that were on the ground in the hangars, many of them from Bholari to Jacobabad. In total, 11 airfields and airstrips were attacked by India on the morning of the 10th. In total, India downed about a dozen Pakistani aircraft. Other than the fighter jets, there was also an early warning aircraft, an AWACS. There was also transport aircraft that was hit as well. This probably explains if the F-16s being hit, and the chief says at least 4 to 5 F-16s which were parked, which were in the hangars, were destroyed. That explains why US President Donald Trump is so upset with India. After all, the F-16s have been sold by America to Pakistan with the explicit clause that it cannot be used against India. And if India hit those F-16s on the morning of the 10th of May, then that gives very concrete and particular reason as to why Trump is upset with India. But first, I want to bring you up to speed with what the Air Chief said, Air Chief Marshal AP Singh. This was at his annual press conference. It's the very first time after Operation Sindoor, almost 6 months ago, that he actually sat down and addressed the press, took questions from members of the media, and this is what he had to say. I want to play out excerpts of his press conference, and then we'll detail as to why this revelation by the chief is so important, and coming as it does now, when there seems to be a build-up of Pakistani forces in the Sir Creek area, and we'll talk about that in a moment, why the comments by the chief are so significant.
3 of their hangars in 3 different stations have been damaged, and in that hangar as well as on tarmac, we have signs of one C-130 class of aircraft, one AEW&C class of aircraft, and at least 4 to 5 fighter aircraft, most likely F-16, because that base happened to be F-16, which would have been under maintenance that time. आपने कोई एक ऐसी पिक्चर देखी है जहाँ पे हमारे किसी एयर बेस में कुछ गिरा हो, कुछ लगा हो, कोई हैंगर डिस्ट्रॉयड हो, कुछ हो? जो इतनी सारी पिक्चर्स हमने उधर की दिखा दी, वैसे एक भी पिक्चर वो नहीं दिखा पाए हमें।
इस बार भारत देश पूरी तैयारी के साथ है और इस बार वो संयम नहीं रखेगा जो सिंदूर 1.0 में हमने संयम रखा। इस बार हम आगे की कार्रवाई करेंगे और कुछ ऐसी कार्रवाई करेंगे कि हो सकता है पाकिस्तान को सोचना पड़े कि उसे इतिहास में भूगोल में रहना है कि नहीं रहना है। अगर उसे भूगोल में अपनी जगह बनानी है तो उसके लिए उसे जो स्टेट स्पॉन्सर टेररिज्म जिसको हम बोलते हैं, यानी कि उसका देश जो टेररिज्म को स्पॉन्सर कर रहा है उसे रोकना पड़ेगा। तो आप अपनी पूरी तैयारी करके रखिए।
Meanwhile, Pakistan's Air Force received a crippling blow, so the Air Chief gave out a blow-by-blow account of what he believes were a number of aircraft of the Pakistan Air Force that were destroyed, the destruction of 4 to 5 F-16s. This is significant because remember, all these F-16s have been given to Pakistan by the United States, by Lockheed Martin, the company that manufactures the F-16s, as part of the war on terror, explicitly with a clause which says they cannot be used against India, they can only be used in the war on terror against the Afghan Taliban. So those are the fighter jets. There are also other, a dozen odd, fighter planes and non-fighter planes as well, transport aircraft, early warning aircraft which have been attacked as well. There was an AWACS attack that happened, which the chief has confirmed. One C-130 transport heavy lift aircraft was also targeted. 4 radar sites have been hit as well as 2 control centers and 3 hangars. This is what the air chief outlined today in his annual press conference, which means at least a dozen aircraft and aircraft facilities have been hit in the intervening night of May 9th and 10th morning, which is when India undertook Operation Sindoor and brought Pakistan down to its knees. And the chief also said that this whole business of ceasefire was brought about by the 2 countries after India caused such debilitating damage on Pakistan and its airfields and airstrips that Pakistan had no choice but to come crawling and ask India for a ceasefire. Let me go across to Lieutenant General retired D.P. Pandey, security analyst, former head of the 15 Corps. So this now completely confirms, General Pandey, what we've all been maintaining all along, that multiple Pakistani airfields and airstrips were hit, and also some of their frontline fighter jets were hit. Today, the air chief says at least 4 to 5 F-16s were downed. What do you make of that?
Yeah, you see, Zaka, I think as a norm, we in Indian Armed Forces have not been going out and telling what we have hit and stuff like this ever, even in the past also. We have never talked much about it. It is possibly under compulsion because all these data has already been thrown by the world satellite images and even by the people of Pakistan who have showed that these are damages which have happened. This revelation which is coming out is only an affirmation by the Air Force chief of the damages which has been carried out. But I think more importantly, we need to see the whole press conference clips which the air chief has spoken of, in which is given very clearly that they were given directions to strike at Pak terror camps and they avoided collaterals by great due diligence. So on the first night itself, they were able to achieve the political military mission which was established for the armed forces by striking the 9 targets, 7 by the army and 2 by the air force. And all collaterals, particularly the military and the civilian, were avoided. Right? It is only when the escalation was sought by the Pakistanis who started feeling slightly about Gango that they might like to show off to the terror brethren that they are along with them to strike back at us. It is then the punishment was meted out in just about maybe 25 minutes on 10th. Now that shock, that actually shell-shocked the Pakistani military, which went keeling and kneeling all over the world, eventually bending down again in front of the country to stop the carnage which was happening, right? So this is very, very important message now, which is coming by the air chief, confirming this entire thing which has happened in that 88-hour
But General, tell me,
operation.
I mean, this 4 to 5 F-16s being downed, I mean, even though they were on the ground and they were in the hangars there, does this explain why the United States and President Trump is upset with India?
Yes, of course. It does. There are a couple of factors, right? Right now, we don't know how many of the F-16 were flying and they came down, right? That will also possibly, I'm very sure the chief or somebody will inform us about it. 4 F-16 going down, they are the strategic assets. These are the only ones which are fitted with the capacity for the Pakistanis to lift, exactly what they want to use for. Yeah. And they have been told not to fire against this thing. The second is this, they were located in a place which is very, very close to some other strategic assets which are known to be controlled and managed by the Americans, right? Yeah. So this also was very, very important for them too. But actually, when the dial up happened, it was not dial down. Americans were not interested in the first day. They had said very clearly in the second day, it's not our thing happening. It is only when the dial up happened by the Pakistanis that, look, this stuff has happened to us and we are getting actually damaged and destroyed. You need to step in and stop the war or the conflict or the carnage. That is the time possibly they have started getting interested, and then they were shown the door by the Indians that it is a bilateral issue. Stay out of it. And I think all those things have got really confirmed even by the American establishment and by so many other people. Later on, Trump may continue to go and tell everybody something else.